Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show of the Codex Podcast's 150th episode. I'm
Woo!
your host, Sonny Kruger. I'm joined by my co-host, Dan Kelly.
What's going on?
Yeah, excited for episode 150. I should have got a picture of Mewtwo, the Pokemon, since he's number 150. We've made it, guys. Well,
You're a
guys,
nerd
and
for knowing
everybody
that.
in the crowd.
You're such a nerd for knowing that. I mean, I don't know. I play Pokemon Go, but I wouldn't have even been like, oh yeah, Mewtwo.
That one, I know that one. That one I've known since I was 10, and I never forgot. Some of them I still remember. Okay, quite a bit I still remember, but this first 151. But yeah, so as you're saying, we were chatting a bit earlier, but today's episode of the Codex Podcast, we will be reviewing Thunderbolts, Reason and Madness. Now,
there's an actual physical copy of it that you have.
That's why I picked it. I had gotten one time I got like a lot of Thunderbolts comics of like one shots. And then a couple years ago we reviewed one. And then with the Thunderbolts movie coming out, I said, let me pick out a Thunderbolts comic so we at least get one review in there near the release of the movie. And then normally it was going to be me and Sal doing one. So I saw Venom on a cover. So I said, let me pick out the Venom issue. And then Sal was not here. Our very own Sal, the Slab Guy, would be here today, but Easter was this past weekend, and Sal ate so much gabagool that he got himself sick, and he's unable to be here today. Dan, thank you for stepping in.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. He scarfed down too many Cadbury cream eggs, and the problem is that, which it's one thing if you're just gonna take the Cadbury cream egg and just swallow it whole like a snake, but you really got to take the little tinfoil wrapping off of it first. But not Sal, just blah 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 blah.
And they're just so many. Wow, I mean, it's crazy.
No, Gary's not in the doghouse. It's just we rotate weeks in, and this was Sal's week, but like I said, he decided to deep throat an entire Easter basket full of Cadbury cream eggs, so he had to step out for the night.
Yeah, so don't worry, Uncle Gary's not in trouble. He should be back next week. Him and Mighty Mike. But yeah, like I said, Sal, get better. We hope you feel better, and hopefully you're more careful next time you're eating a whole bunch of eggs and everything. Because we want you back on the show sometime when we'll figure out what's going on with the rotation again, but we'll get Sal on here again.
And for mention, because Thunderbolts is coming out next week, for next week's comic character of the week, we're actually doing the episode on Bucky, the Winter Soldier, since he's in the Thunderbolts movie.
Okay, yeah, great. And then tomorrow's character is set to be
Black Manta.
Should be interesting. There's one story I'm pretty sure I know will be on there, and then I'm interested to see what you guys pick as your your recommended reading. Obviously, top covers. One of Aquaman's top villains.
Yeah, and and that was another one. Yeah, well, that's Sal's problem. Yeah, it's Sal's toilet's problem. It's his plumbing's problem. Yeah. I mean, there were some right off the bat, like we were talking, before we jumped on, that even a character like Black Manta, where I'm like, oh, okay, I know Black Manta. Then it's still sitting there, like, all right, well, what are the stories I want to pick? And like, I knew one in Aquaman I wanted to pick, but then I had to remember, like, crap, which volume of it was it? Which issue numbers were it? And I had to go figure that out. And and then picking the top moments too. Sometimes that can be a pain.
Yeah, but I give you all credit for that. Hello, Mr. Keith. But yeah, I give you guys all credit for each week, comic character of the week. A lot of work, a lot of research you all must do. I mean, fun research, but
still,
still a lot of
time. It's better than like homework, than like college homework or something. We'll have to get you on an episode one week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking, what character would it be? Even I was looking at this week, and I'm like, okay, it's Black Manta. Maybe I have to do a bit more reading before, giving my top Black Manta stories.
Yeah, so this week it's Black Manta. Next week it's Winter Soldier or Bucky for the movie tie-in. What's up, Booge?
Hey, Boosh.
The week after that, it's Sal's pick, and he picked Two-Face. The week after that, it's Jamie's pick. He hasn't picked anyone yet. And then the week after that is my pick, and it's I picked Billy Butcher from The Boys.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Like I said, every week at least that's good. I know you guys, even Comic Character of the Week has passed episode 100 a while ago.
Yeah, we passed that a while ago. So I think we
Yes.
passed 125 a few weeks ago.
So I passed 125 today in the Codex podcast. We've reached episode 150. Codex, we've been around, and in only less than 2 months from now, in the beginning of June 9th is the day. It will be 4 years that the Codex podcast has been going strong.
Oh my God!
Yeah. We've been around a while. Back when it was the Codex podcast, and we didn't even call it the station. And then a few months later,
yeah,
the station.
I mean, it is a station,
Yeah.
I like how Jamie had set up the YouTube page where it's like channel 1, this channel 2, that, so it's, I mean, that's what it is. There's, I don't know any other podcasters out there that do stuff the way that we do it, where it's, usually like they'll have their one podcast show, and whatever that may be, and then they'll do like maybe some unboxing videos or something, and then like some of them will do a live show, like Mon Comics does the Big Five live, Lettuce does the like the Sunday morning thing, and they'll get a couple of the YouTubers to come on, but that's generally it. Like nobody's doing the amount of different, like the variety of different things that we are. No one that I've seen.
Yeah, and that's why I love it. That's something for everybody, and every day you can be entertained by the Codex station.
Yes,
and we have plenty of episodes, like we said, 150 the Codex podcast, over 125 the Comic Character of the Week, definitely over 100 of Unleashed. So you can go back and check it all out.
And in honesty, we're just a bunch of dancing monkeys on the internet.
Wait, what was that boost? Yeah, 7 years ago, the heroes of Codex United.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We've been around, and we hope to stick around.
Yes.
Yeah, I got plenty to gift everybody. And like today, too, we'll be having the usual schedule of the comic book news. We'll be having Variant Insanity. Today, I will be the man with the 5 statements and right or wrong. We're having a random panel of the week. We got some birthdays coming up. 2 people especially that you all may know. And also, of course, the F list. And this character has got quite the name. I'll wait for the show, but yeah. I was like, is that really his name? Yeah. I
have no idea who it is either. So I have no idea who it is either, so I'm interested to find out.
Okay, this time I looked and I'm like, wait, you know what? I'll just put it on the show. I'll just let you have your first, glimpse at this character on the show, unless you may have seen him before. And of course, last week we had Funny Bunny. Made sure I had been saving Funny Bunny for a while, and then it was like, oh, okay, it's finally. I was gonna have it be a random panel, and then I looked into the character, and I'm like, wait a minute, no F list. That's an F lister.
Oh, and it truly was.
Oh yes, she was. I think that surprised most of us that Funny Bunny is a she. Yeah, so Dan, we've got birthdays coming up next week. You got any plans?
Not on my birthday. Oh, as Sonny is saying, next Tuesday is both of our birthdays. And you know who else is born on that day, on April 29th?
Michelle
Pfeiffer.
And Daniel Day-Lewis.
When I was a kid, I had that poster on my wall, and like every day of the year, it listed, who's, like some famous person's birthday. So of course, when I got it and put it up, I went right to like April 29th. I'm like, Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for my actual birthday, nothing that I know of. Just another miserable day at work, probably. On this coming Saturday, I'm going to a small comic show in Hughesville, Maryland, at the Bargain Barns, that shop that I like that I've talked about a bunch before. Time Warp Comics is doing like a card and comic show. So they're going to have over $5,000 books, and then other individually priced books and stuff. So looking forward to going down there and digging through some stuff. The guy Keith that runs it, that owns it, is a really good guy. Always gives good deals, and has watched some of our shows before too. So I always like to go support him. What about you? You doing anything?
Being with some family. My mom always makes me a thing called dirt cake. It's like mixed,
Oh yeah.
Okay, but the crushed Oreos and stuff.
Yeah.
So it looks like dirt. I have it every year since over 20 years in a row. I still always love to have it. And then, just be with some family and, my usual stuff. I'm editing a series about a series, this finale. I'm writing my story called Eldo's Awkward World. And of course, I hope to be doing some reading of comic books.
And well, you're not going out with the rest of the cast of the Bear. They're not treating you to they're not treating their favorite cast member to a
They're not.
To a night out on the town.
They're not, and I probably would have to turn them down. I'd say, hey, I'm working on my show. I gotta edit it. I'm gonna have to turn down your proposal of a nice dinner with the cast and crew. But yeah, so mostly regular day, mostly the regular routine. Who knows? Maybe I'll get some comic books for my birthday.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that, when you're a comic fan, isn't that always the goal? The hope. My wife told me once a while ago. She said, like, you're hard to buy for. I'm like, how am I hard to buy for? Like, I've literally got like a 7-page list of comics that I'm looking for this. Like, just go on and pick something.
Like I said, but us comic book fans, it's always easy. Bruce says, bury your mutilated action figures in the dirt cake. I would not do that. I treat my my toys with love.
Yeah. The kind of love that where the other side always says, he said he wouldn't hit me again.
Hey,
he promised.
Sometimes they get in fights, and things sometimes happen. Sometimes your arm falls off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of the Bear, the lead on that, Jeffrey Allen White, he's got that one movie that he's making, the Bruce Springsteen movie where he's playing Springsteen. Did you know that he's also going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie?
Oh, I didn't know that one. I knew about The Boss, but yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I saw it something a couple days ago. He's playing, I assuming, just doing the voice of Roto the Hutt, which is Jabba the Hutt's son.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Roto the Hutt.
Well, thank you. I got this off of I think I got this off superherostuff.com.
Cool. And Sonny is Leatherface when it comes to action figures. I don't agree. But yeah, what would I do with the leather? I never did get a Leatherface action figure. I saw one as a kid, but I hadn't seen the movie yet, so I passed it by. And then years later, I'm like, I should have got that toy. It would still be in perfect condition.
Yeah. Okay. What was the one toy that you did when we did that episode? The episode where you and Gary and Tim were like showing off your figures, and Tim's like, "Oh, I'll show a few," and Gary shows a few, and you pull out this gigantic tote, and you're like, "I'm going to show off every broken figure that I have. Like, here's an arm. I don't know what this one do. Like, here's this figure. I don't know his name." And then Gary be like, "Oh, that's so and so." You're like, "Oh, okay. I always wondered that." I'm like, You didn't look at the box when you bought it.
It was a long time ago.
And then you kept talking about how much you wanted the chameleon figure when you were a kid, and you wanted the chameleon. And then you go to C2E2 and it was sitting there on the table. Was it for like $3? And you're like, maybe next time.
It was more. It was like 15. If it was 3, I probably would have got it. But if anybody wants to know, the chameleon toy is on Amazon. It's like $25 right now. They've redone it like with those, like the older figures, like if you've seen with the boards. they make it look just like they came out in the 90s, but it's actually an updated
the
version of
new
it. Yeah.
ones.
So it looks really cool, and I don't have it. And my birthday's on Tuesday.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. Says, someone should call the Action Figures Protective Services on Sonny, the sick bastard.
Sonny, why don't you go ahead and just type your address in the comments there, and I'm sure someone will mail you the figure.
Okay, I live in. No way. I'm just gonna have to put that. You know what? Maybe we'll. If anyone wants to send me something, I trust you, Dan. So they give Dan, give them your address. They will send it to you, and I trust that you will send it to me. I believe in you, man. I trust you.
I'm tempted to get the figure and send it to you, but only send it to you piece by piece.
Oh.
Like, so one week you'll get an arm, and then the next week a leg, and then the next week another arm, and then you'll get a torso the week after that. And
the torture, because I hate to see toys be broken.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. And with that, Dan, I think it's time we go to the actual show.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it to it.
Episode 150 of the Codex podcast is here. And already in the pre-show, look at that. The guys are messing with me. Boosh, what did he say about sending me a piece?
He said, haha, yeah, mail a piece every week.
Every week, talking about how I still don't have the chameleon toy. And Dan saying he's going to send it to me piece by piece. You know. And I was going to say, Dan, if someone was to send me a comic book to your house, I would be fine with you reading it and then sending it to me.
Okay.
Not piece by piece, not page by page. No way. But today, for episode 150, in case you weren't watching the pre-show, I'm your host, Sonny Kruger, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dan Kelly. And today we are reviewing Thunderbolts, Reason and Madness. It was normally going to be me and Sale. That's why I picked out a Venom one. But he's unable to make it. As Dan was saying, Sale just chowing down on all those eggs, putting it down his throat without even chewing.
Yeah, but if I destroy it, then Sonny won't be able to enjoy destroying it.
Oh, but I don't destroy, so.
Well, I'll say this. I checked the score of the Caps game at the end of the first period. It was 0-0. And now we're in, just a few minutes into the second period, and it's 2-1 Caps. So that scoring happened quick.
Wow, so there you go. So the real reason why Sale is not here, but it sounds like he's having a good time, though. But Sale will be back, and he did still do something for the F list. He made it a little special ending. Bruce says, won't be able to enjoy torturing the poor toy. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm always accused of things. Like being bad with toys. Like I said, you could check out the From the Vault action figures, and you'll see that every now and then, sometimes when I pull out an action figure, an arm might just fall off, or a cape. And a cape just gets lost sometimes. Sometimes a cape just gets lost over 30 years.
Sonny's yelling at the figures like, remember, you walked into a doorknob.
Hey, stuff happens, especially when they turn into wrestlers.
Yeah.
But today, we will be having the F list. I haven't even told Dan who it is on the F list today, or even given the character's name away, but we'll be having a random panel of the week. It goes along with celebrating birthdays, since next Tuesday, me and Dan will have our birthdays.
Yes.
And
how old will you be?
I'll be quite a bit younger than you. That's why those toys were sometimes broken. You guys were adults getting them. I was a little kid. But actually, I will be 35.
Yes. Younger. 35. Well, I wish that's what I was turning.
You can tell us if you want. If you don't want to, I won't pressure.
46.
46. Going strong. Look at that. And yet, here we both are. Age differences is on. It's on the same show. Who said you better say you fell in the garbage disposal? Hey, what movie was that? that was Small Soldiers. They put one of the toys in there.
Oh man, that was
Makeup
such a good
disposal.
movie.
And I didn't like
Good
that
movie.
part. I didn't like seeing that happen to an action figure.
I didn't like seeing that happen to an action figure that I didn't get to do that to.
I don't know what you're talking about. But there was a Chip Hazard toy of mine that did get burned by somebody else. It wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I should have stepped in and said, "Hey, cut it out."
Chip, no.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was it? They thought was it the Gorgonites?
They really had
good
monsters. But all right, yeah. So today, like I say, also we'll be having a right or wrong, and I will be the man with the 5 statements. And before that, we'll be having quite a bit of comic book news. Dan, we were talking a little bit before in the pre-show, and now we're almost there. We can talk about it, but I'll start us off with the rundown. We saw the Fantastic Four First Steps had its official trailer come out, so we'll get on to that. And the Fantastic Four First Steps is set to come out July 25th, but also something we definitely got to discuss. Last week there was quite a bit of talk about some Lobo pictures from the set, and right after the show, I see Dan sent a message or an article, pointing out that those were fake. Somebody on Facebook, it was pointed out that those pictures were used from ChatGPT. So, yeah, those pictures aren't real. Oh, well, who knows? Maybe sometime soon, with all the hype, we'll be seeing actual real pictures of Lobo or Jason Momoa's Lobo. But those ones that were out that were kind of going pretty viral, they're fake.
I thought it looked okay. I mean, I wouldn't, I'm sure whatever we'll get will be better than that, but I saw it and I'm like, that's, I'm fine with that, But, looking, knowing that they're fake and looking on it, I'm like, okay, now I could see. Like, I did think it was kind of weird that it was just a regular motorcycle, but then I thought,
people talk to, yeah.
But then I was like, well, if it takes place on Earth, maybe that's why, maybe he like stole it, like a la Terminator 2.
Yeah. But you know what's something that's not fake? And that is that Dredd. We all know Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Yes, Boosh, they were fake. But Dredd is set to be a series. It's in the works with Amazon. And if the series does go through, Carl Urban will be playing Judge Dredd again. So we'll see if it does happen. And also get your swimsuits ready for the summer because Marvel swimsuit issues are coming back. They're set to come out this summer. So get those summer bods ready. That goes for all the Marvel characters.
Get your Jergens.
And speaking of Marvel characters, Moon Knight is set to get a new villain this summer. Real quick, Boosh says, good, we'll give Lobo the right treatment. But yeah, so Moon Knight is set to get a new villain. Moon Knight is turning 50. It's been 50 years since Moon Knight came out. And also, with the issue of Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, number 10, will make it the 250th issue overall of Moon Knight. So that is when the new villain will come into the story by the name of Artemis Fairchild. And that story is set to come out July 16th. And right before we were getting started, Dan sent something about DC Summer. So at Gaylord Hotels, they're set to do a whole huge thing of DC themed events. But we'll get onto that in a little bit. All right, Dan. I say quite a bit of news over this past week. And of course, always on Wednesdays is when they throw in a lot of the last minute news. I say we jump right into the Fantastic Four trailer first.
All right. Do you want to go? Or you want me to go first?
Dan, I'll let you take it away, and we'll see. Because for some reason, I have a feeling that you like me, and all I'll say is that I wasn't too excited.
I will say this. When they announced the cast, I did not like most of the casting that they picked. I did really like the guy that they picked for Galactus, though we haven't seen him yet. So we'll see. Other than the shadow, we'll see what that looks like. I was not on board with Pedro Pascal as Reed. After seeing this last trailer, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe he could be a good Reed, though I wish he'd shaved his goddamn mustache, because I don't remember Reed ever having a mustache in the comics. Was it Vanessa Kirby as Sue? I'm still kind of on the fence about her. I really liked, and again, was it Ebon?
Yeah, Ebon.
Yeah, I liked him initially being cast as Ben. I think the CGI on Ben looks perfect, but I just wish he used like a scruffier, deeper voice when he actually became the Thing, because I can't reconcile the Thing having that voice. I guess I just think too much of like the Thing from the cartoons, the 90s cartoon. So there's that. I did not like the casting of Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch, but after seeing this last trailer, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see it. That was a good choice. But it's none of them that people are really talking about. It's Julia
Silver
Garner
character
as the Silver Surfer. I'm a fan of the Silver Surfer. Got a lot of Silver Surfer comics. I'll start off with the CGI on that one, and granted, it's just like a 2-second snippet, 3-second snippet, whatever, from the trailer. But the CGI on that looks worse than in the Rise of the Silver Surfer movie that they made. I mean, God, what was that? 20 years ago, 15 years ago, or something. I was disappointed when they cast her, because as a Silver Surfer fan, I wanted to see the Silver Surfer that I know, Norrin Radd. We're not getting that. And for all the people out there, and I've gotten into this argument a bit over the course of the week. If you're fine with it in the movie, hey, that's fine. There's nothing that says everybody has to be outraged. There's nothing that says anybody has to be outraged at all. It is just a movie. But as I said, as a Silver Surfer fan, that's who I want to be. For all the people out there that want to say anybody that doesn't like it is, I've heard incel, I've heard man babies, this or that. You know what? I said there's nothing wrong with wanting to see an accurate depiction of a character you like, and not just from a comic, whether it's people complain about video game movies not being accurate, movies based on books, whatever. There's nothing wrong with wanting to see an accurate depiction of a character that you really like. It doesn't, and yes, there are some toxic people out there that are going to complain about anytime some race, gender, anything has changed, that aren't fans of the character, that just are going to complain about it. That's just the way it is. I'm not one of them. I just really wanted to see the Silver Surfer. And I'll say this for a couple points that, or something close to accurate. So all the points that people throw out there, let me just run through them real quick. Well, she was Silver Surfer in the comics too. Okay. She was Silver Surfer for like 10 pages in Earth X, an alternate reality book. And she was Silver Surfer along with Norrin. Both of them were the Silver Surfer. It wasn't just her. He'd been the Silver Surfer and then went back to Zenla and got her, gave her some of the power so they could be together. So right there invalidates that argument. Or, well, she's had the power cosmic before. Yeah, when she wasn't the Silver Surfer, she did have power cosmic in an issue of What If. She wasn't the Silver Surfer. Her name was Starglow. Okay? So...
And Aunt May was a crazy issue, alongside Galactus. So we don't want to see Aunt May being a Silver Surfer either.
Yeah, I don't want to see the golden oldie up there.
Yeah.
And for the people that say, well, it's an alternate universe and they're just going to wipe it out, you'll get the other Silver Surfer. Okay. Everybody just says this like they're just pulling it out of the air, like they're just making it up, and say, you really think that they're going to cast all of these Fantastic Four characters and do one movie and then wipe the slate clean and give us a whole other cast? No. I think anybody that has read the comics knows that, with Avengers Secret Wars coming up, knowing what that comic was, this is going to be their way to integrate all of these properties into the MCU that they didn't have before. So this is going to be their way to integrate Fantastic Four, X-Men, along with anybody that they want to recast in the MCU. If they want to say, hey, we want Iron Man back, we want Captain America back, we want, I don't know, whatever, who are like, hey, you know what, we need a younger guy to play Thor so we can have some of them going on, like, which will be their way of doing that. So so all these characters, they're probably going to stick around. So you can't just say, well, this is just for this movie, and then you're going to get the other one. Maybe not. Like, I don't see, and maybe when the movie comes out, there'll be a reason for it, but I don't see any story reason to make Shia LaBeouf the Silver Surfer instead of Norrin Radd. And I said, and I don't think that, you should be, insulted or looked down on or accused of things just because you want to see a character you like the way they are in the book. And I told the guy, I said, all you people that are saying, oh, it's just a movie, who, lighten up, who cares? I'm like, all right, but if they made the Fantastic Four and they said, you know what, we're going to make Invisible Woman a man now, would you all be fine with that? If they cast the new X-Men,
somebody might do that.
If they cast a new X-Men movie and they're like, you know what, we're gonna make Storm white. Yeah, we're gonna get Charlize Theron to play her because she's from Africa. She's African, right? So that's okay. You all would lose your damn minds. So you can't have it both ways and say it's not okay to do that, but it is okay to do this. That's all I'm saying. Go see the movie or don't. Someone was arguing with me about it. I said, look, I came to the realization a long time ago that there's no point in me really getting upset about this. I can just not go see the movie. I can just read my Silver Surfer comics. I watch Silver Surfer cartoon. I got the Silver Surfer game on NES. I can go plug that in and play it. Like, I don't have to go see the movie. I can be disappointed that I'm not gonna, get to see something I was looking forward to, but it's just not worth getting upset for it anymore.
Yeah, even too, like I'd say, me, I love the Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd. So let's see. Yeah, Bruce says, I've been waiting on a good Fantastic Four movie since the Corman Classics, so I want an honest treatment of the characters. Yeah, we do, and there's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, Silver Surfer, I want to see Norrin Radd as Silver Surfer, not Shia LaBeouf. And whereas, Julie Garner is a terrific actress. I'm a fan of her. I remember her back when she was in The Americans, then Ozark later, Inventing Anna. So she's been in many things that I like.
She was fantastic in Ozark.
Yeah, so it's just I'd rather have somebody else.
What was the series she was in where she played? What was the name of it? Where she played the fake socialite that was
Inventing Anna.
Inventing Anna. Yeah, she was good in that too.
Yeah, she's
a great actress.
I would like to see a man be Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd, just like before we were chatting before the show. Like I said with Captain Marvel, I would have preferred a man to play him. It's just what we prefer. Whereas it's not like we're insulting Julia. I'm not online like Julia's this and that. Then it's wrong when I don't like that when people suddenly start.
Like, I don't blame her for taking the role. Yeah. It's like, hey, you want to join the MCU? You want to join the biggest franchise on the planet? Who's going to say no? But I don't blame her. I felt the same way when they cast Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. I'm like, what is this nonsense? What are you doing? What is this nonsense?
Another example. See, so and we are truly fans. It's because we love these characters, and some people, maybe they don't care as much as we do. But what do we think? Who will play Franklin Richards?
Oh, it's gonna be Haley Joel Osment, right?
Hopefully not. Franklin. Will we see Franklin? I
don't think we'll see. The only way we see Franklin in this movie is if she gives birth in a post-credit scene.
Yeah, so that's not thinking too much. Like you were saying before with the Thing, Ebon's voice, I would have liked to, picture something like that, a little more rough, I guess, because as soon as I hear his voice, I just think of him as his character Richie and the Bear, and it seems like it's the same thing. Like if I turn away, it's gonna be like, am I watching the Bear or Fantastic Four? Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
I mean, I think it's clear that whenever we do finally see Franklin on screen, it's going to be someone we have no idea who it is. Because it's going to have to be a little kid.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. My final thing about the Shia LaBeouf thing. If you wanted a female herald for Galactus, he's had one. Nova, Frankie Ray. Why not just make her Frankie Ray?
That's what I thought. And even too, Frankie Ray kind of had that. This Nova kind of had that curly hair, which Julia naturally has. So turns out the letters P and V stand for Pedro and Vanessa. Also too, not just that. I wasn't too excited. I didn't see too much action. I'm like, is this going to be just a lot of talk? Because they have to establish the story and everything like that. I do hope we get more action than we've seen in the trailer, and maybe John Malkovich's character. I'm trying to remember who is that, the one who controls Red Ghost.
Red Ghost, yeah, and then
maybe something will happen there. I am still excited for Galactus. I have high hopes for Galactus, but
and then there's other. I mean, there's other actors that have been cast in it that, I mean, we still don't know who they're playing. Like, what's that guy's name? Paul? Is it Paul Hauser? The one.
Yeah, Paul Walter Hauser. Oh yeah,
Paul Walter Hauser. Yeah, we still have no idea who that guy's playing. Didn't he get nominated for an Academy Award for that Clint Eastwood movie he did?
Yeah, I'll have to see. But even to Pedro Pascal, surprised he didn't just shave the mustache. He did for Maxwell Lord, but maybe he said, "Hey, I'm also filming The Last of Us, and I refuse to shave it." But yeah, and Joseph, I thought he did good he looks to be doing good as Human Torch. And Vanessa Kirby from the trailer, she may have been the most one I was impressed with. Like, maybe she could pull it off being Sue.
I'll say this for Pedro. If you wanted the face hair, Reed has had a beard before. Just why not grow the beard out? We've seen that with him. Like, why a mustache? It just, I don't know.
And then sometimes maybe it isn't always even the actors.
It's so nitpicky and bitchy. I'll admit that one is nitpicky and bitchy of me.
And then sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the actors and actresses say, "Hey, I won't change this." But sometimes people, who say Galactus look promising.
Not just a cloud.
One of the worst moments in MCU in Marvel movies. But sometimes directors and stuff do say, "Hey, we want to go for a different look this time." Maybe they're hoping that eventually, after this movie, the comics will start making him look more like that.
They better not give him a mustache. I just can't. I can't picture Reed in the comics with a mustache.
Yeah, I don't care. I hope he doesn't have it, but I think we're gonna start seeing some more Pedro-looking Reeds. Something tells me 3 other contracts made Pedro keep the stash. Yeah.
You know what? And none of those movies are gonna make what the Fantastic Four is gonna make. Let's be real. Like, if you're gonna prioritize something, they could have just. Yeah, that's the thing with Henry Cavill too. I don't know why Henry Cavill couldn't have just shaved his mustache for that, and they couldn't have just given him a fake mustache to put on for when he went back to Mission Impossible.
Yeah, especially they have so many talented makeup artists and designers and everybody. Like, come on, a beard, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
So I don't get some of that stuff, but yeah. So after seeing the trailer, I'm not so excited for Fantastic Four First Steps. I still keep almost calling it Baby Steps. First Steps. Yeah.
But something I am excited for, which you said, and it's not even announced yet, just that they're hopefully making it, is the Dredd series for Amazon, because Amazon's looking at the success of The Boys, and they feel like Carl Urban is a huge part of that, which he is. He's fantastic as Butcher. And, they know that all the fans, and him as well, because he's a real big Judge Dredd fan in real life. That's why he took the role originally, that we'll finally get the sequel to the amazing Dredd movie that he did, which that movie is so good.
So, but what if they have Sylvester Stallone be him in the sequel?
Oh, that movie's so bad. But Carl Urban, when he did the movie, they wanted him, excuse me, at one point, like, they wanted him to take the helmet off so that, not for the whole movie, but for like one scene, to take the helmet off so people could see his face. And he said no. He said, no, Dredd doesn't take the helmet off. Because again, he's a huge Dredd fan in real life. And the motorcycle, the Dredd's motorcycle in it, all the scenes of that is actually Carl Urban writing it. Because they constructed real life, and he learned to ride, learned to ride it so he could do all of those shots. Again, because the guy is a huge fan of the property. So, any other star would have been like, yeah, let me take the helmet off so they could see one shot of my face. And he refused to do it because he knows that in the comic.
Yeah, I love that to know that he's playing the character and he truly cares for the character. Mr. Keith says any Dredd series needs the aliens in them.
You could play the guy. They could get Stallone to play I don't know. Maybe they could get Stallone to play like Judge Death or something. He kind of looks like Death with his face now. The way all the years of bad plastic surgery with what his face looks like now. It's just a horror show.
Poor Sly.
Poor Sly. He did it to himself. Same thing with Mickey Rourke. It's like, what did you do to your face?
Man, I know it may be a little bit off of comic book stuff, but Mickey Rourke, hey, he did play Marv, so there we go. There's a connection. Yeah. But there was an interview where he was being asked something about comments he had said, and he told the interviewer he was dead serious, and he said, "Read my mind." He told the interviewer to read his mind.
Well, Mickey Rourke has had a lot of allegations come out against him. For a while, but some more I've seen recently too, and reading them, I'm like, I'm not surprised about that at all.
Yeah. All right, but speaking of somebody who's not in so much trouble, was I said Moon Knight getting a new villain.
Yes.
Yeah, Moon Knight over the years has become very popular, and like I said, we were saying 250th issue.
Yeah, Judge Dredd's not. Hasn't been, huge in the States. DC published a Judge Dredd series for a little while, but I know it wasn't, it was kind of a toned down thing. And, they've had the crossovers, there's been the Judge Dredd Batman crossover. I think I have it back there with that Simon Bisley did the art for. But he never caught on. I mean, he's a popular character, but he never caught on in the U.S. the way he did in England, where he's where the comics originally from.
Hey, Mr. Kitty, your favorite motivational Dredd line was let me find that one again. Okay, yeah, was you ready? Yeah, you look ready.
Oh, when he said the line. Have you seen the movie, the Dredd movie that Carl Urban did?
I haven't seen it because I remember hearing about it, but it was one that many people, including myself, had passed over.
Oh my God, you got to watch it, Sonny. It's so good.
Especially if the series comes out, yeah.
And I mean, Dredd's famous line, right?
I really would have to look. Yeah, Judge Dredd is a character I don't really know too much about, but
I mean,
like that.
I think it's pretty. His famous line is "I am the law." I mean, okay. Anthrax wrote a song of, I am the law about Judge Dredd. When he finally, in the movie, when it got to the point where he finally said the line and he's giving this dialogue, and you're like, oh, is he going to say it? Is he going to say it? And then he says it, and I'm like, oh, that's so good.
Yes, now that movie's jumping up on my list of movies to watch. Yeah, it's been... Bruce says that the Batman Dredd crossover was pretty good. Yeah, you know what? Like when you said that part of I Am the Law, then it started coming back to me. But yeah, I hadn't seen much about Dredd in a while.
Yeah, it's a movie so good.
Yeah, especially if the series comes out, that'll get people wanting to watch it more. Yeah, and Bruce did say that he thinks that most Americans didn't get the dark humor of Dredd.
Yeah,
Mr. Keith says, well, the satire. Yeah, that is one thing when it comes to humor. Even there are different countries that have different kinds of humor. So. There is that. And, so I like to look forward to, but, DC, with that DC summer coming out at the Gaylord hotels, when I was looking into it, yeah, I don't have any Gaylord hotels near me, but there's a lot going on with it. And the other DC summer activations include DC Superheroes Mission Checklist, Revenge of the Riddler Scavenger Hunt, DC Superhero Craft Zone, Hall of Justice, Character Dining with the Joker and Harley Quinn, DC Super Secret Menu, DC Superhero Academy Live Show, DC Superhero Sightings, DC Superhero Splash, DC Movie Night Poolside, DC Fun by the Pool, Battle for Justice Light Show, and DC Superhero Supply Pack. So if you got a bit of moolah, you might want to be checking out that the Gaylord Hotels for DC Summer, and they'll be going on May to July. Let me make sure I get the right exact dates. May 23rd is when it starts up.
And there's none of them that are near me, so
yeah. So I was so excited, Dan, when you sent that, and then I'm like, well, maybe it's by Dan, but maybe it's not by maybe there's one by me, because I'm like, I haven't heard of those hotels before, and I looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, not close. But hey, if they're close, I mean, those pictures are cool. The ice cream looks good. Yeah, so cool, fun stuff for whoever gets to go.
I finished off all the ice cream on an unrelated note that I had in my freezer a couple nights ago. I've really been wanting more, and I was going to go pick some up after I picked my daughter up from school today, and I'm like, I don't have time to go to the store and get home and get everything done in time to do the show. So that's how important Codex is, that I skipped going to get my ice cream that I've been craving for like 3 days so I could get everything done and be ready for this.
I give you a round of applause, young man, because you know what? Sacrificing ice cream for the show is quite a sacrifice. You know what you do, Dan? What I do when I just start getting down from ice cream, I don't finish it. If it's like 5, 7, 8 bars left, I'm like, okay, it's time to go shopping. It's getting low. There's only like 7 or 8 left.
I like the Turkey Hill, the tub of ice cream. I like the Turkey Hill chocolate and vanilla. 1, because it's delicious, but 2, I can read the ingredients on it and actually know what all of those are. It's like vanilla bean and cocoa powder and milk and cream and sugar. It's like 5 or 6 ingredients, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, I'm not having to worry about if this has got that, now that they're, using old plastics to make vanilla flavoring now. I'm like, nope, that's not in this.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid that, but now when you talk about plastics and vanilla, I need to. See, Bruce says that's being a soldier, DK.
I'll tell you this too. I won't say it on here because I don't want to gross everyone out that much. But if you want to Google where they get what they use to make artificial vanilla flavoring, other than now that they've started using plastics, if you want to Google where they get artificial vanilla flavoring from, you will never, ever eat it again.
All right, Dan, you could tell us. You may be saving a life here.
Oh, no, it's nothing that's poisonous. It's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I
have to look it up.
I will leave it for people to Google because it's quite nasty.
Yeah.
And then you also kind of wonder, who was it that came up with using that to make this?
That is pretty crazy. But hey, maybe when people find out, they'll stop eating so much ice cream, and they'll be able to have, get in better shape and get in some shape for some swimsuits. So that makes me talk about, Marvel swimsuit specials, and I'll read a little bit that Marvel had on their website. And it does say that Marvel swimsuit special, friends, foes, and rivals, #1, continues the tradition, with an overarching story by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks, and drawn by artist Nick Bradshaw, and it will star Earth's muddiest fashion designer, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. In addition to Bradshaw, fans can look forward to unforgettable, instantly iconic imagery from top artists like Nick Klein, Marguerite Sauvage, and Luciano Vecchio, and more. The issue will also include, Boosh says vanilla is his least favorite flavor, so
well, it depends on the vanilla. If it's vanilla bean's delicious.
And also, with that, Marvel was saying the issue will also include designs for new costumes coming soon to Marvel Rivals, the mega popular video game. So there's that, and also I should look at when it comes out. Oh yeah, I got it written down. No, I don't have it written down. I've written down of when that Moon Knight. I've written down of when that Moon Knight comes out. But
will you be getting the? Are you going to get the swimsuit issue?
I'm gonna look. I look to see maybe when I check, maybe when I go to a comic store, maybe I'll look and be like, should I get it or not? But we
Sometimes
shall.
it'll be like, is Maria around? All right, bring it up. Bring it up really fast. Come on. Put it in the bag.
I got all right. Me and Dan, Dan just kept talking after the show. I didn't have time to just get off and go, do it. I just had to.
You might want to
I can use it as an excuse.
You might want to choose a different phrase than that.
Me and Dan were just chatting, and then I could really be just looking at the swimsuit issue or reading it because they said that there's going to be a story to it. Maybe it will have a really good story.
Like, baby, it's research for the show.
It is, everything, all research for us. Because we'll be talking about it. We might review it.
I need you to review it. I need you to get it and make one of your shorts with it. If anybody hasn't watched them, Sonny does some pretty funny shorts.
Thank you, Dan. And maybe, sometimes the ideas come to mind, the craziest things. So
the Cactus Jack joke that you just had in the WrestleMania, you were like,
Mick Foley is the real Cactus Jack.
I saw that and I was like, man, that's a deep cut there.
Oh yeah. And I was able to find it. Yeah, Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1 comes out July 9th. So right after Independence Day.
I wonder if this will drive up the price of the original ones.
Probably.
I had them
for a little bit of time.
They're gone now. I don't know what happened to them, but I used to have them. Yeah, they were fun. One thing I did like is, at least in the original one, they would, because they had like the female characters, obviously, and they had the male characters. I remember they had like an Avengers and West Coast Avengers, like all in their swimsuits doing a tug of war, and like the West Coast ones were losing pretty bad because the East Coast team had like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and all them on it, and like Hercules. But
it's just really that they would be winning, wouldn't be close.
But one thing that I always liked that was funny, and I actually used to I think this is probably the reason I don't have any more, because I took them out and put them on my wall, was they would have all these fake ads in it too that they would make that were always really funny.
The only time I would see them is sometimes in the old omnibuses, or like omnibuses or epic collections. They would sometimes have some of the pictures in there, so that's how I found out about it. And Bruce says, Cactus Jack, bang bang. Yeah, so I've got some shorts. My username is Sunno the Writer. That's where I am on Wattpad for my stories, but also on TikTok for my shorts, like Dan mentioned. And always remember, you can just type in Sonny Kruger on Google, and it will lead you right to me. And if you wanted to find Dan, you can find him on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art.
You know what? Just check out thecodexstation.com, and it has links to all of our stuff that's on there.
That is right. Check it out. And you can also get merch. Like I said, check all the stuff we got going on. Yeah, and learn a little bit about us. And it's a good time for me to say that the Codex Station is on all the socials at the Codex Station. That's what I gotta do.
But yeah, I actually just looked it up to remind me. There was a fake ad for like a shampoo, and it's Beast, where he's blue and he's just kind of sitting there, and he's got like one side looking normal and the other side the hair's all frazzled and stuff, and it was like, which would you prefer? Ultra X, and then there's one where you see Wolverine and he's like really sweaty and gross looking, and then it is for a fake deodorant called Macho.
I think the Beast one isn't one of the, I don't know if it's Epic Collection or one of the omnibuses, because that, when you said it sounds familiar, it's coming back to me, but I don't remember exactly which.
And there's an ad for for Flick, which is a fake razor, and then it's got a picture of Thor with a beard, and then a picture of Thor clean shaven. So it was pretty funny too. It wasn't just like, hey, here's some TNA for the kids. Like, they actually did, do some funny stuff in them too.
Nice. So hopefully the new one is similar to it, and
yes,
it's entertaining for us all to check out.
Yeah.
And you know what, everybody? You can get yourself some comic books, because the Codex Station is having a getaway. The Codex Station is having a giveaway. We're not putting you on a getaway. We don't have that kind of money yet. But you could win yourself some comic books. You could win the Rand-Thanagar War, and the Avengers Thunderbolt crossover.
I have both. Bought them when they came out. Both really good stories.
There you go. And everyone, if you win, you don't even have to buy these. You can get them for free. Make sure you subscribe to the Codex Station, and you could take a screenshot, send it to us, on Facebook, and let it be known that you are subscribed. That enters you. You could also just type in hashtag giveaway. That enters you. And also, if you're a paid Codex member for just $1 a month, $1 enters you into all of our contests every month. So look at it, for $1, you could be winning these 2 great stories. And yep, that goes up until the end of this month. So next Wednesday will actually be April 30th, the last day of the month. So you still got a bit of time.
I think Jamie's announcing the winner on Saturday.
So yes, you're right, Saturday. Because I was going to say, we don't mention it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you have a few days to mention it. So Saturday on April 26th is when it will be announced who wins. So if you want it, you want to get yourself some free comic books, there you go. Got a couple days left to enter.
But you had mentioned Moon Knight getting a new villain. That's exciting. I'm a big Moon Knight fan. I'm have been very happy the past couple of years that Moon Knight has kind of somewhat come back to prominence. Has had ongoing books. I mean, I never thought that I'd see Moon Knight having a regular series and a mini series coming out at the same time while he had a TV show. So it's been pretty cool to be a Moon Knight fan. And not just that they've been putting the book out, but it's been absolutely fantastic too. Jed McKay has been doing an amazing job on it.
Nice, yeah. And the villain is set to be named Artemis Fairchild. I don't know about the name Artemis. I gotta admit, maybe it's my age, but I can't help but think of the character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the woman named Artemis.
Oh, Artemis, yeah. See, I think of her, and I also think of Artemis from Wonder Woman.
There you go. But yeah, maybe when we see this character, we'll be like, okay, now this is what we think of when we see Artemis. When we say Artemis.
What if they draw her to look like Artemis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
That would be awesome. Then I might have to add that one to my collection. Like, Sal, you need to get this one slabbed.
And she's got a sidekick that looks like Danny DeVito that's always saying weird stuff and waving a gun around.
That would be perfect. Who knows what we will get with that, hopefully. Bruce says, I'm with you, Dan. It's about time Marvel treat Moon Knight with proper respect. I agree with you guys. A lot going on. A lot of insanity. So now I say it's time we get to some variant insanity.
Let's do it. We're dancing.
All right. You know how it goes in variant insanity. You get to guess which comic book had the most variants this week.
All right. Let me think about what came out this week.
Anybody in the comments? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your guesses. We have to get everyone involved in the show.
Now, I know that it's the second part of Hush, Batman 159, but I don't think that they'll go crazy on the alternate covers the way they did for the first part of it.
Speaking of which, nice Hush drawing the other day, Dan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got the I was actually going to work on the inks today, but I didn't have time for it. I decided, because I had like 3 sketch covers I'm working on now, and I decided I just want to get the pencils done on all of them before I start doing the inks. So I've got that one, and then I've got a Flash one that I just finished the pencils up for, and then a Spider-Man one where somebody had me do a commission for Silk and Spider-Gwen on it. And when I asked him what he wanted in the background, he said, oh, just something, which actually I have it sitting here, so I'll show you. It's this.
There you go. Looking good. Really
And
good,
I
man.
asked him what he wanted in the background. He just said something like, "Oh, just something real simple." So right here on the side, I drew a little thing of Spider-Man's head and like his shoulder kind of peeking out, and it had the Spidey sense lines going off, and then at the bottom here it just said "thwip," like it was coming from off screen. So if
Nice, man.
you
So
want to
helpful.
catch on the innuendo of that, but he said, "Oh, he's like, no Spider-Man on it, please." And then he just wanted this webbing background. So I didn't want to waste the joke. So I had a Spider-Man sketch cover. So I redrew it and I put that on there.
Nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing too how the finished product comes up, but it's looking great so far, man.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
right. So Booze says G.I. Joe.
Joe, how about you, Dan?
Well, I didn't look at what books came out this week. I just looked at what books were on my poll this week. So based on that, and I don't know if Thundercats or Silverhawks or any of that or Ninja Turtles came out this week. So just basing it off the books that I got, I'm going to say Superman 25. I'm sure that it's wrong because it's not a book that's published by Dynamite.
Everybody, I'm gonna give you a little hint. It's not a Dynamite comic book this week.
Well, I'm going to stick with Superman 25. Like I said, I don't want to look up every book that came out. I'll just stick with what's on my poll.
All right,
Oh, so it's 2 guesses for G.I. Joe.
Mr. Keith and Boosh are going with G.I. Joe. So Dana's going with Superman number 25. So I've given you some time to guess, everybody. Me and Dan, we were chatting a bit about his artwork. So if you had time to guess, put in the comments. And now I'm going to give you that countdown of the 10, the 9, and the 8, and the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The comic book this week that had the most variants was Harley Quinn, issue number 50. And this is from the Harley Quinn volume number 4. And look at that. It says, yeah, heavy is the head with a giant brain.
That cover sucks.
Well, hey,
hopefully the variants are better because that one is not good. But yeah, okay, Harley Quinn issue 50. At least I was close in the sense that I had a DC book. I had it as an anniversary one with 25.
Yeah. So all right, would anyone like to take a guess how many variants this Harley Quinn issue number 50 has?
I'm going to say 50 variants for issue 50.
50 for 50 from Dan. Let's see, anybody in the chat?
No, that's too many.
Feel free to take a guess.
I'm going to cut it in half and say, I'm not changing mine. 50 is too many. I'm going to say 25.
All right.
25. I feel like that's still too many, but.
All right, everyone. All you got to do is just put in a guess. Take a guess of what number you think. How many variants Harley Quinn had. Boosh says 22. So I'll give you that countdown of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Harley Quinn, Volume 4, issue number 50, had 12 variants.
Wow.
Somehow
Boosh were both off. 12 variants. How sad of a state is it that we look at a book that has 12 variants and go, oh, that's not that many.
Yeah. Like, it is crazy when you think about it, because like I said, when you really think about it, it's still 12 variants of the same comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said we're just so used to, 29 for Thundercats, 30 for TMNT.
You've seen the movie Clue, haven't you?
Yeah.
The one from the 80s with Tim Curry and all that?
A long time ago.
But you've seen it, right? You know what I'm talking. Anyone that hasn't seen it, go watch it. It is absolutely hysterical. But one thing that they did was the movie has like 3 separate endings. And when they released it in theaters, they had a different ending, in different ones. So if you wanted to see all of them, you had to like go back and see the movie multiple times. It would be funny if instead of doing variants on just the covers, if they did something like that inside the books too. But like if they didn't announce it, if they just did it, there'd be a lot of people that would be pissed off about it. I'm sure they'd be like, God damn it, I didn't know they were doing this, and now I got to go find the blah, blah, blah.
It would get a lot of people talking, though. Yeah, they should change it up.
But especially if they had like 3 endings, different ones, and like all of them ended in some dramatic fashion with like some character dying, and it's like which character or like a character dying or something drastic happening to one, and then it was like, all right, you have to wait till next month to find out which one of these is actually the real ending.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then, yeah, someone can make it work.
Yeah.
Somebody hire me. I can make it work. But well, we'll see what happens. Sometimes there were great ideas, and for some reason they just don't get picked up.
Yeah.
Who says if they hear that, they might try it? I think it'd be. I think it would be a success. I think it'd be good. So there we go. We got some fear and insanity, and now it's time for my 5 statements in right or wrong.
All right,
so,
I'm ready.
I'll get us started. Let's see, everybody. Statement number 1. Howard the Duck is more of an astronaut than Katy Perry and Gayle King.
You definitely wrote these with Sal in mind.
That one for sure.
True.
All right, you say right. Bruce says it was mentioned slightly on a podcast. The fans want it. Yeah, for that.
I want residuals too if you do it. Yeah, my idea.
All right, so statement number, and yes, I say right for that one as well, with Howard the Duck being more of an astronaut than Katy Perry and Gayle King. Number 2, this one goes a little bit more with our book. I see Bruce says right for number 1. Number 2, without the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn would still be one of Spider-Man's greatest villains.
True.
And I go with right as well.
Right, yes.
All right, Mr. Keith says right for number 1. All right, statement number 3. DC should make a swimsuit special this summer.
They did one last summer.
Then they should make another one.
I'll say right.
I'll say right, yeah. And now, well, there you go. Now I know that there was one for last year.
And Power Girl should be on the cover.
I think we're all pretty much thinking that same thing.
Oh,
Mr. Keith said wrong for number 2 with saying that without the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn wouldn't be one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. Okay, so now we're on number 4. Well, we were talking about the Fantastic Four, so my number 4 goes with it. Statement number 4. The Fantastic Four first steps will be a flop at the box office.
I'm going to say wrong.
You say wrong? I'm going to say right, but hoping I'm wrong, because, well, I always hope movies are good. All right. So now statement number 5. And I'm going to stick with the Fantastic Four. And I say, statement number 5. We will see the Norrin Rad Silver Surfer in the MCU within the next 10 years.
Wrong.
I say right. I really hope I'm right. All right. So there's the 5 statements. And now we'll bring it back to number 1. And with number 1 was Howard the Duck is more of an astronaut than Katy Perry and Gayle King. And we were all in agreement for that one.
They didn't do shit. They sat in there. They sat in, went up, came down. They didn't do anything. You know, it's not like they went up to the International Space Station and were going on a spacewalk and repairing satellites. They sat in the chair and they went up, and then they turned around and came down.
Yeah, for a ride. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if they actually went to space, you know, because there's all the rocket science nerds that are showing the thing that, like, when Bezos went to open the door, that they had opened it first, and all these guys are like, well, if it's a pressure, you know, if they really went up, then it's a rocket and it would be a pressurized door and they wouldn't be able to open it from the inside. It's like, I don't know. I don't know about all that, but I think it was just a publicity stunt. I don't know that they even went to space. And if they did, you know, what, they went above the clouds and then they came back, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, and then too, it's like if they had, you know, those celebrity basketball games, they'll have, you know, like a celebrity in there, Doesn't make them a basketball player because they played one game.
Oh, that's got a bad word. I can't put it up. Yeah.
I'll have to check that one. Yeah. Well, I'll just say that Bruce said that Katy Perry is more lame than Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I mean, because she released her set list up there. Who gives a crap?
Oh, wow.
It's a space like Pluto's a planet.
And Howard the Duck has actually done quite a bit of stuff in space. But yeah, so there we go.
Speaking of Pluto, how come Pluto in Disney is a dog, lives in a dog house, doesn't talk, is a dog, and all that? Goofy, also a dog, wears clothes, has a job, talks, lives in a house. What the hell? Come on, Walt.
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway, sorry.
I wonder how the thought process went into that. But number 2, we were out. It was without the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn would still be one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. I think right. Who was it? Most were saying right, but Mr. Keith had said wrong.
I say right just because now, if you're saying without the Green Goblin, like if he doesn't, because didn't they establish in the past couple of years that the Goblin was kind of like another personality or something. I'm not sure if it was like a multiple personality thing or something that like took him over. But either one, if it's if you're saying like without, like he was just a normal guy and that didn't happen, then then wrong. But I'm going under the assumption that it's if he just decided not to be the Green Goblin but was the same guy, then I'll say yes, much the way that Lex Luthor is a thorn in the side of Superman.
That's exactly. Lex Luthor was the character I was thinking of.
Yeah,
I was like, if there wasn't Green Goblin, I think he would have been, Spider-Man's Lex Luthor. So that's why pit it is right. So obviously, it's just we're all thinking. So there's no real right or wrong with this one. Yeah, there's Keith.
Well, I wouldn't say
he's just street level Lex Luthor.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a street level Lex Luthor because he's still rich. He was, he was still a guy that was rich and that
Oscorp
was,
and everything.
Had Oscorp and developed all the stuff and all that. So there are the parallels to Lex Luthor. It's just when Lex Luthor went out and did crimes, he was doing it as Lex Luthor. He didn't put on a mask and call himself something different.
And Bruce said, yeah, Osborn, still has hate for Spider-Man. That's one thing I think, too, that they still would have come across each other. But I said, who knows? Maybe in an alternate world. Maybe a what-if issue one day. But all right, so number 3 was DC should make swimsuit specials this summer. Dan said they made one last year. So I said,
it was
whoa. Then another one this year.
Nort's summer special.
So then I said, what about this year? Another one. And we were all right.
Yeah, why not, man? They're fun. They're goofy. It's if you want to say, if you want to say, oh, it's, it's whatever, insult you want to, oh, it's just nerds and, ogling drawing, whatever. They're stupid. They're fun. Who cares? Like I said, especially if they do them when they're kind of goofy, you get some good artists to do some, like J. Scott Campbell and Frank Cho and Kevin McGuire, some of these guys that do them, they're fun.
Yeah, like I said, fun. And if you don't like it, don't read it. There's plenty of other comic books.
Yeah. Drawings or not, whatever. I want to see Power Girl and her big old titties in a tiny little bikini. So, whatever.
Well, damn, maybe one day she'll make the cover.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they can model her after Sydney Sweeney.
One of those variants. When it comes out, we got to remember that for the variant Insanity, the week that one comes out. Maybe they'll.
Yes.
Maybe it'll win, but not if Thundercats comes out that week.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll do a Thundercats swimsuit issue.
There you go. With 50 variants.
Yeah.
Number 4 was the Fantastic Four. First Steps will be a flop at the box office. Now, I said unfortunately right.
But, and everyone else said wrong.
Everyone else had said wrong. So we'll see how it goes. You think that it will still be a success at the box office?
I think it will be. The trailers have seemed to have positive reaction, and it looks a lot different than the other MCU stuff. The casual fan, who knows if they know as much about it as the fans that like us that read up on all this stuff, but they may not know that, like, hey, this is a standalone thing that's not tied into the regular MCU yet. But, I don't know that it'll be a big mega hit, but I don't think it'll flop. I think it'll be successful enough.
So we will see. And in my number 5 was that we will see let's see, Bouchard, like I said, going with hope for the Fantastic Four. And Mr. Keith said, I think the cast will draw in normies the first weekend.
Plus, there's not a lot of comic book. Now, it is interesting because Fantastic Four comes out only 2 weeks after Superman. So if Superman is, dominating the box office still, it might take away from it. So, who knows? But I think that it'll do well enough that it won't be a flop.
We'll see. Like I said, that's one I'm hoping that I'm wrong with. And number 5, this is one I'm really hoping I'm right for. It was that we will see the Nora and Rad Silver Surfer in the MCU within the next 10 years. I had said right. Boosh and Mr. Keith said right. Dan, you said wrong.
I mean, I hope that we do, but I doubt it. All these, like I said, all these people, they're like, oh, they're just going to destroy this universe, and and then you'll get them. Like, I just feel like that they will probably stick with not just not just the 4 characters the actors they cast as the Fantastic Four, but that they'll stick with everyone. So with that reasoning, I think that's why we won't get to see him.
I think somewhere in Secret Wars, I think we'll see a Nora and Rad version, but we will see.
I mean,
it'll be wild.
They could, I guess if you're thinking it that way, then we could see the one from the Fox movie as a variant.
Yeah.
One thing I will say too about Fantastic Four is I think the first movie is way too early to bring Galactus into it. I know that they can't use Doom because they're doing that with other stuff, but I think the first movie way too early to just jump into the huge threat that is Galactus.
Then might take him out. You're only gonna get one movie with him, whereas you could have made him one of the big bads.
Yeah, so he could have been in one of the Avengers movies where it's or if not, with Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, all that, or if not that, in a Fantastic Four movie, do it in the second or third one when they're in the MCU and you can have all these characters there. But the first one's just too early.
Mr. Keith said if they don't use him now, they can save him for the sequels and be much cooler, like waiting to use Joker in The Dark Knight as opposed to in Batman Begins. Good point.
True.
Yeah.
Might be a tweak version, I think. Yeah, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong in saying wrong, but I just feel like they kind of make these decisions, and right or wrong, they stick with them.
Yeah, many people, they refuse to say, "Hey, we made a mistake." It's just no.
Well, who knows? They, it looks like they might be, casting a new Black Panther. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, but you know what else we get to see? It's our random panel of the week, so we get to see how somebody else celebrates their birthday. And there we go. It's Spider-Man. Hey, look at that banner. It says "Happy Birthday to me."
Action Spidey.
Action Spidey. Yeah, and Captain America riding Lockjaw. He said, "Whoa, Lockjaw!" And Lockjaw's licking the cake. And then even on the other side, we see Phil the Gorilla Paul the Gorilla must have been taking a bite too, because a woman's saying, "Paul, where are your manners?"
I'll ice this cake.
It says Iceman, and Doctor Strange says, "Cool it, Iceman. Let me help." Wow. Yeah,
well, I would request not to have any part of the cake that was licked by the gigantic dog.
Yeah, licked by Lockjaw, and the other side had Paul the Gorilla looks like maybe he was grabbing it, biting it. So yeah, I'll pass on that cake. Yeah, so that's how Spider-Man celebrates his birthday. That's the first time I've ever seen a banner like that. Happy birthday to me. As opposed to happy birthday to Spider-Man. Happy birthday to me.
Are you gonna make a banner like that?
I may, I may just have to. You know what? Tuesday, I may wake up and be like, oh yeah, there's that banner that I set up earlier today. Because I go to bed, it's like 6 a.m. So maybe like 5 a.m. I'll hit the banner up, fall asleep around 6, wake up around noon, and then be like, oh yeah, what a surprise that I forgot that I put happy birthday to me up.
What a surprise. I totally forgot how I had this banner made and then delivered, and then I hung it up, and then I went to sleep, and wow, it's so like the response like a giant dog. Very true.
Yes, I agree. Look at that. Let's see. Okay, but who's waiting to jump? Yeah, who's going to jump out of it?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Tony, for the podcast next Wednesday, since it's a day after your birthday, you should do it with a banner hanging behind you that says "Happy Birthday to Me," and then you should do it with like one of those little pointy party hats. And when the show starts, you should have one of those things you blow out. What is it? The little
I know what you mean.
Party thing.
Let's see. Hang a little bit. One part up there on the bookshelf.
Hey man, it was
Wolverine.
Hey man, it was the 70s. It was a wild film.
Why does Doctor Strange have a mound of cocaine?
Yeah, they say cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Who says, yeah, if it were today, it wouldn't be MJ. If you notice, there's another redhead in the picture up there. Medusa was helping put up.
Yeah.
The cake. Yeah, this is. You could tell it's one of those like what was those Spidey super stories? I think those
like
had
Marvel Team Up or something.
Yeah, there was one. There was a quick Spider-Man stories, like Spidey super stories, and that Gorilla Paul was in there. So that's what I'm guessing.
Paul the name of the guy that Mary Jane is dating in the comics now?
Oh wow. Yeah, hey, maybe it's Paul the Gorilla. No.
That son of a bitch. He's been lurking there all this time waiting. I like that though. Why does Doctor Strange have a mound of cocaine?
Yeah. But like I said, Paul, he went through quite the retcon over the years.
Yes.
All right, but someone. Let's see. Bruce says that's a damn good question. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, he just the mystic arts he's a master of. You see him walk up and he's got powder all over his nose. He's like, "Say hello to my little friend."
I was gonna say his whole little stash could be white. People
and then he can say hello, my little friend, and then he conjures some demons.
Yeah. Oh, Doctor Strange and the Strange 70s, which I'm guessing that's when that panel was.
That's what I'm gonna guess.
All right, Dan. But it is time we're talking retcons. Maybe this character cues a retcon. Now we go off to the F list. Today, joining the F list is
Dr. Tweak.
Rapier.
Oh.
It could be Rapier, but Rapier. So as soon as I saw that name, I said, "Uh-oh." So there he is, Rapier, and look at that.
Sure, he has a real rapier wit.
Yeah. Look at that outfit. Look at that. He's just got it wide open. Just see all the chest. He's covering his eyes.
I mean, if you were built like that, wouldn't you want to show it off?
I guess, but I would hope I would do it with a bit more style than that. I'm not too one for all the orange-ish. But there he
brown
is.
and orange is a not a solid color combination. You hear what I'm saying? Cleveland Browns.
And there you go. And there he is taking on Spider-Man. And it says, introducing the man called Rapier. Also, here he is when he's just fencing, when he didn't have the orange on.
Protect your butthole.
Yes. Well, whoever he's facing, he took out their sword. So they're truly in trouble. And There he is with taking out an old man. I'm going to dethrone you, old friend, bit by bit, little by little. As I recovered, so shall you perish. And there he is when he was taking on Spider-Man.
Mm.
All right, Dan, would you like to take a guess as to the history of Rapier?
Mm.
Or is it Rapier? I don't know. I just feel like it's Rapier.
Yeah, it's Rapier. Because that's the name of the sword. The color combination, is questionable. The cape is very questionable. Does he think he's a goddamn musketeer? Just to pull out a gun.
Yeah, musketeer. Yeah. It's a secondary power just to pull out a gun. Dan, it's funny as I say this, your shirt is brown and there's a teeny bit of orange, but you got Hawkman on it, so it's a very cool shirt, bud.
There's other colors. Well, man,
Yeah,
I got the hiccups now.
But it's not a good combination on the way that Rapier is wearing it with the cape, with the chest open. So, what do you think is his history?
His real name is Jean-Pierre D'Artagnan Bernard. Excuse me. And he was picked on as a child for having such a ridiculous name growing up in the suburbs of Cleveland, where he was, despite being a nerdy child, was a huge fan of the Cleveland Browns. And his father, who was a delusional man that claimed that he invented the toothpick, forced his son into I got these hiccups now, into fencing to try and make him manly, not knowing that if you want to do that, probably don't have him learn fencing. So he became a master fencer, and as he got really muscular and really athletic, he decided that he wanted to be a member of the Cleveland Browns. So he made this suit and he tried out to be their mascot, and they said, get the hell out of here. And no, we do not validate parking. And that rejection drove him to a life of crime. And you might say, well, if he was in Cleveland, looks like he's holding
Yeah, Bruce says it looks like he's holding a giant olive pick.
If you're saying, how does he fight Spider-Man if he's in Cleveland? Well, Spider-Man just happened to be in Cleveland because he was, visiting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to take pictures for a story for the Daily Bugle. Dreams for being a lifelong loser.
Dreams of being a lifelong loser.
And he came across Rapier committing crimes when he told Spider-Man what his name was. When Spidey tried to stop him, Spidey got really worried and webbed up his butthole, thinking that he had a different theme in mind, and eventually stopped him, and he went to jail, which in Cleveland just meant he was sent home and forced to live in Cleveland.
Jake sent home. Like the Spidey protecting his backside with his webs. So, okay. With Rapier. What did you say his name was again, Dan?
I don't remember. Jean-Pierre Baptiste D'Artagnan. No. Jean-Pierre D'Artagnan Baptiste Martin. I don't know, something like that. It was
Something with Jean-Pierre. That sounds a lot better for him. His actual name is Dominic Tyrone. Yeah, so Dominic Tyrone.
You better call Tyrone. Call him.
That name does not fit him. Dominic Tyrone was created by Ralph Macchio and Jim Rooney, and his first appearance was in
He was created by the Karate Kid.
that one, not the other one. But his first appearance was in this king size annual, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, annual number 2. And then is where we get to pretty much his story, quite a bit to read. So I wrote down some notes. I'll try to tell him my way. Bruce says he's the son of Bernie Kosar. Bruce, yeah, because the Browns haven't won jack in many yada decades. All right, but I'll get on to a little bit of this history. They don't mention his parents, so we don't know who Dominic Tyrone's parents are. But Dominic started working. He was hired hand. He was working for Silvermane for years in the mafia, or the Magia. And eventually, time went by, and old Silvermane got tired of him. So, all right, somebody else take him out. He got hit in the back by a thug and thrown into water.
I bet there was some getting hit in the back going on with this guy.
It almost broke his spine. No kidding. So it really almost broke his spine. He was thrown into the water, and then a woman named Clarissa saw him get thrown, and she rescued him. And then over the years, he started recovering, but then he also had this revenge. He wanted to learn
And
fencing.
she explained it all to him, by the way.
So he wanted to get, she mentioned she just rescued him, right? He always, over these years, he wanted to get back at Silvermane. Which kid says, yeah, where does he keep the sword? I haven't seen a holster on him yet. I think he just walks around with it just like this. But yeah,
you don't want to know where he sheathed that sword.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so Clarissa helped him out, and then over the years he said, one day, I'm gonna get back at Silvermane. And then when Clarissa's father died, as if there wasn't enough for her to go through, that was when Dominic Tyrone decided, now's the time for me to get my revenge on Silvermane, so I'm going to become the Rapier. And that was when he went after. He started to take out a bunch of the mafia / Magia guys, and he wanted to get a reputation because he knew it would.
Oh, he got one, all right.
Yes, he wanted to get a reputation that would get the attention of Silvermane, and they were just taking on some mobsters right there. But fencing was only useful with watches. But so he wanted to get that attention. He's taking out some of the Magia guys, defeating them, not really killing them. But with a name like Rapier, he gets the attention of Spider-Man. So Spider-Man goes to go after him, but so far he's not really, he's not robbing old ladies or things like that or trying to blow anything up. But eventually he does get to Silvermane. He almost kills Silvermane, but Spider-Man stops it. And who was it in the comments who said maybe he pulls out a gun? He actually did get out a gun and tried to kill Silvermane, but Spider-Man stopped it. And then, so him and Spider-Man, like this picture, like this cover of Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, annual number 2, Spider-Man has a fencing battle with him. And Clarissa decides to, Mr. Keith says his weakness is the left-handed, probably. But so, Dominic Tyrone, the Rapier, is battling Spider-Man in this sword battle. Clarissa sees this, and she thinks, the man she loves is in trouble. So she hits Spider-Man to try to help out the man she loves. And then the Rapier gets mad at her, and he insults her, and he even hits her because he's so mad that she ruined his battle. And then he says, our whole relationship, it's over. It's done. He leaves Clarissa, the woman who saved him, who was loyal to him. He leaves her. Who says he got a reputation for having groovy fondue parties. Maybe that's when Spider-Man found out about it. But yeah, so Rapier, he leaves Clarissa, the woman who was loyal to him. He leaves her. Said after insulting and hitting her. But Silvermane was still alive, and Silvermane shot him in the back. And then he did still walk away. and then he wasn't heard from for many years until the Scourge of the Underworld. Um, and then he was invited to the bar with no name, and Scourge killed. Yeah, exactly.
He looks like if you ordered the Dredd Pirate Roberts off of Temu.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. As soon as I saw him, like, oh, but it was one thing that made me think of you, Dan. I know you like the Rocketeer, so unfortunately, I was not able to get you the Rocketeer, but I got you someone who used to be a Racketeer for Silvermane. So that's where he got to start, and he got his death with Scourge. So, Dan, do we say he stays in the? Is he going on the F list? Is he staying there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no escape off the F list for this guy. I'm gonna find someone that'll make a custom figure of him for you, Sonny.
I might even break it. That's how much because he hit his girlfriend. I don't like that, so I may have to break him.
If I can find someone to make a custom figure of that for under $15.99, it's yours.
I'll be looking forward to it. So now it's time.
It would be fun. Now that I'm thinking about it, it'd be funny if you know how they make some of those sets where it's like a bunch of different figures and sometimes like a little diorama. It'd be funny if they made one of Scourge and it's like the Scourge figure, and then he's got the machine gun, and then it's like a shot up bar diorama, and then it had like 3 or 4 figures that came with them of lame villains like that, and they were all just like riddled with bullet holes.
That would be an awesome set. I would want that set. That would be cool. Yeah, all the F listers he's killed. And Bruce says F plus list. Well, it's time.
Maybe that should be the question. Like, will he escape the F list? Be like, is he someone that Scourge would murder in a bar?
That does make good sense. Good way to put it. But now it's time to officially add Rapier, Dominic Tyrone to the F list. Here we go. He's on it. Thank you, Sal, for coming up with that and always making that happen, making it for us. I know today was a little bit of last minute notice, but still got it done.
Yeah, so we had to wait for Sonny. Had to wait for Sonny to finish his mid-afternoon nap.
That's my normal sleep time. No naps for me. I go to bed when the sun is rising, and I wake up in the afternoon.
Sonny, that might be a good costume for you for next Halloween, though.
I was thinking about that, but I was thinking about maybe Matter Eater Lad, or maybe even Cosmic Boy. We got some options. We've got some options, Dan.
You could be Heavy Flow.
That one I may have to pass. I would need a bit more. I would either need to eat a lot more or just get one of those suits. People are, now people get in trouble for those suits. But you know what? I'd be able to make with all this AI stuff, I'd be able to quickly make a video. I'm sure in 3 minutes, I'd be able to be like, look, guys, I turned into Heavy Flow. Crazy what people can do now with all that stuff. Boo says his mid-afternoon action figure torture session. I'm sleeping. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, like I said, dreaming up ways to terrorize those figures.
Well, maybe if I had Rapier, I would have to, just because he's a bad F-lister. And like I said, he hit his girlfriend, so I don't like that. I may have to hit him or fling his toy against the wall. But everyone, it is now time for our review. And today we will be reviewing Thunderbolts, Reason and Madness. As we know, the Thunderbolts movie is coming out soon, so I wanted to pick out a Thunderbolts comic for us to read. Normally, like we said, it was going to be sale on the show, so I made sure to pick out one with Venom. But he wasn't able to, so me and Dan still stick with this.
And then Sal bailed on us.
Oh man, I don't know if I'll ever. This may be the last time we review a Venom book. Bruce says Sonny could be the toy mutilator master for Halloween.
But no, for Halloween you're supposed to dress up as something different from your everyday life.
Maybe I will have to be it for Halloween because it is very different from me. But all right, so now Thunderbolts, Reason and Madness. The writer is Christos and Gage. The artist is Ben Oliver. The color art was Jose Villarrubia. And the letterer was R.S. and Comic Crafts Albert Deschesny. I tried to pronounce it. I tried. And the cover art was Marco Judovic. And the editor was Molly Laser. The editor-in-chief was Joe Quesada. And the publisher says Dan Buckley. So, this story is about the Mac Gargan Venom at this time. So, we have that. And then, obviously, Norman Osborn. This is when he is in charge of the Thunderbolts. And so, we start off with just the characters. The Thunderbolts are taking on Biohazard in a battle. And let me check out the names right. Yeah, so they're taking on Biohazard. And we see Biohazard gives Venom, Mac Gargan Venom, quite a punch, sending him pretty far off. But then he comes across a man, and that man is Whirlwind. And Whirlwind, tells like he kind of set this whole thing up for it. And the thing is that he says, "Hey, meet me up here. You know how you really like that life with the Thunderbolts. You can't really leave." And even Boo says Hasbro Dahmer for Whirlwind, but no, Whirlwind isn't like that. So Whirlwind is trying to get Mac to say, "Okay, if you leave, join us." And then because Mac is also talking about like he's got those nano bots on him. He says, "Hey, if I leave, he's pretty much dead if he tries to disagree with them, right? Or disobey the rules." So eventually, Whirlwind gives him something a little like a shot and says, "This will get you free for a while." So Mac does that. He meets up with some of the old villains, like I said, like his old buddies Whirlwind and Tiger Shark, Boomerang, and Mr. Hyde. And then that's when Whirlwind tells the plan of, "Hey, you can leave the Thunderbolts. We'll help you get out of that. You should be joining us. But you got to do what the guys say. You got to do us a favor." And the plan is for them to set up Norman Osborn. And Mac does that. He gets Norman Osborn to go there. And the guys, they try to blackmail Norman. Norman shows them that even though he's not the Green Goblin anymore, he is still someone not to be messed with. And what ensues is a violent battle between them. And after all, I'll go into the story because that's pretty much it. This is Thunderbolts one shot. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, I don't think it's super special. I think it was fine for a read. Like I said, good artwork. I think is good, but not the best. There's a part where Biohazard punches Mac, and it looks like first you see what appears to be his right hand, and then the next page it's his left hand. But even though he punched, Venom's like all the way over there, so that was a little bit off for me. Like I said, it's not bad. It's not like super long. It's a quick read, but I didn't think this story was super special. I wouldn't say it's a must read. I say it's a fine story for me. I was fine reading it. I was fine going over it again. I think it's one, read it if you want to read it, but I don't think it's a must read. I think the highlight of the story is Norman Osborn and shows how dangerous he is, even when he's not with the Green Goblin. So if you're a fan of Norman Osborn, then I'd say to check it out. Me, I, Sonny Kruger on the Codex Podcast with the Codex Station, give Thunderbolts Reason and Madness a 6.7 out of 10.
A very strange number to pick. 6.7.
Because I say 7 is good, but I don't know if I'd say it was like, oh, so good compared to the others. I'm like, but I wouldn't say bad. I'd say it gets a little under 7.
I can't decide if it's a 6 or a 7.
I say fine.
6.7.
6.7 for me. I say it's a fine story. Dan, how about you?
It sucked. No, like you said, there's nothing really special about the story. Like it's okay. I don't really know. I don't think it deserved being a one shot. Like I feel like a one shot, especially for a series that's ongoing, would have to be something that would be a good standalone story that would have some kind of significance to it. And this just Boo says a 6.6. This story, like, really, like, there's nothing really significant that happened in it, really, or came out of it. Like, it's not even really that long, compared to a regular issue. Like, I feel like this
Yeah.
is something that should have just been an issue of like a fill-in issue of the regular series.
I agree.
It didn't need to be a one shot. It just seemed like it was probably a money grab. Like, oh, Thunderbolts is popular right now. Throw out another story. So it didn't really do anything to build up any of the characters or have anything significant happen to them. You know, Osborn, I guess, gets these other guys that he, you know, try and kill him, and he forces them to work for him. But you know, there's no great revelations. Like you said, you can read it or not read it, and you know, you could not read it and not really miss anything. I didn't care for the artwork at all. I know, you know, you said the one thing about like one page is the right hand and then it turns pages and it's the left hand then. And I just thought the artwork wasn't really very good overall. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. So Thunderbolts Reason and Madness gets a 3 out of 10 for Dan, a 6.7 out of 10 for me. What do you all think?
A
What do you all...
6.66 from Booge.
Yeah, so close to mine. So what do you all think of Thunderbolts Reason and Madness? Are you more on my side? Are you more with Dan? Or do you absolutely love it? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. You know, it's all opinions. So say check it out or don't check it out. And
Those are the two options.
Yeah, there's 2 options you got. But it's been a great fun.
Yeah, and it was.
Bruce says a bland Thunderbolt story. I'll pass and stick with the awesome series.
Bland is the perfect way to describe it. It's bland. It's not terrible. It's not spectacular. It's just kind of bland. It's just there. Like I said, the thing that really brought the grade down for me too was questioning why they felt the need to make this story a one shot and give it its own title, and be like, oh, this is significant enough to be its own thing. And you read it and like, this is just like a regular issue, just
yeah. I did feel that too. I was kind of wondering, like, why have this be a one shot? It almost feels like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were more like you with that, where that brings their grade down, where they would be like, well, it's a one shot, I'm expecting more. Whereas if you were reading the series issue after issue, more people I think would be fine with it. So I don't think it was the best decision to make it a one shot.
Yeah. Agree.
But all right. We've read it. It's now in the past. And we'll be reviewing more stories soon. Soon, Dan. I know it won't be on the next week's episode, but you have picked out a story for you and I to review on a future episode of the Codex Station, and I'll let you tell everybody what that story is.
Happy 4-issue miniseries came out. God, it's been a while now. I want to say 15 years ago, give or take. I have to look it up. But yeah, it came out a while ago. It was a 4-issue miniseries. They made a TV show based on it that ran for 2 seasons. The first season was based on the 4 issues of the comic. The second season was a story that they completely came up with on their own. First season was excellent. Second season was okay. But yeah, it's a pretty cool series, I thought. I think it was Grant Morrison that wrote it. It's Derek Robertson that drew it. And it's about the main character is a guy who was a police detective, but he was like a crooked cop, so he got kicked off the force. Now he works as basically a private eye kind of leg breaker, whatever kind of guy, taking whatever jobs he can get. And his daughter that he didn't know he had gets kidnapped by this crazy maniac, and to save her imaginary friend, who is this unicorn, Happy, comes to him and tries to like lead him to find her, and goes through all this gang and mobland stuff and all this. And it's a really wild, outrageous, violent, funny book.
I'm really looking forward to checking it out, Dan. Bruce is the cop with the imaginary friend.
And I would highly recommend reading the 4 issues and then watching the first season of the show, which it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is.
But you know, Dan, as you looked it up, I finally found out why Sale really isn't here today.
Oh yeah, why is
He
that?
read Thunderbolts: Reason and Madness, and he didn't care for it so much, but he refuses to put a Venom comic book down.
Oh,
So he said, "Guys, I gotta watch that. You know, I'm gonna have to watch hockey." So,
all right. It's not on Netflix anymore. Disappointing.
I'll have to find it, but I definitely will make sure to read the comic book. So I've already got a few weeks, like I said, to read the 4-issue mini of Happy. And next week is set to be me, Uncle Gary, and Mighty Mike, and we're discussing what we're going to review. So, but it should definitely be something pretty big, pretty good, as it will be my first episode at the tender age of 35.
It's on Apple TV.
So, Apple TV, you can check out Happy.
Yes.
So, Dan, before we go, once again, happy birthday to
And
me.
happy birthday to you as well, Sonny.
Thank you. Thank you. And let's see. Bruce says, yeah, okay, thought he was a cop or ex-cop. That was pretty interesting show. Didn't get to read it. Enjoy. Yep, so everybody, thank you for joining us. Hope you all take care. Hope you have a great week. That is a 10 out of 10. I will see you all next week after me and Dan celebrate our birthdays.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.